This tutorial is about direct object and direct object pronouns. What is an object? The subject of the sentence is usually a noun or a pronoun. Many sentences contain other nouns or pronouns that are related to the action of the verb or to a preposition. These nouns or pronouns are called objects. Let's analyze those examples. Peter hits the ball. What is the subject? Peter is the subject. What is the verb? The verb is hits. And what is the ball? The ball is a direct object. How do you identify what is the direct object in the sentences? A direct object receives directly the action of the verb and answers the question what or whom after the verb. The ball receives directly the action of the verb hits, or if we ask the question after the verb, Peter hits what? The answer to this question is the ball. So the ball is the direct object. In this another example, Mary sees Peter. The same. The subject is Mary, the verb see, and the direct object is Peter. Let's ask the question. Mary sees whom? What is the answer? Peter. Peter is the direct object. That is the way how we identify a direct object in the sentences. What object is receiving directly the action of the verb or answer the question after the verb? What or whom? Here we have the direct objects in Spanish and in English. Direct object in Spanish: me, te, lo, la, nos, os, los, las. In English: me, you, him, her, you, it, us, you, them, you. So those are the direct objects for those subject pronouns. Me is the direct object for you. Te is the direct object for the tú. Lo is the direct object for él or usted. La is the direct object for ella or usted. And so on. The same in English. Me is the direct object for I. You is the direct object for you. Him is the direct object for él. Her. Him is the direct object for he. Her is the direct object for she. You is the direct object for you when we are using as the usted form. And it. It is when we refer to things already or previously mentioned for impersonal direct object pronouns. And so on. So we have here the direct object pronouns in Spanish and in English. So let's see how do we use them. In my sentences here, I buy some flowers, I take the flowers home, I give the flowers to my wife, and she hits me with the flowers. Well, just forget about the last sentences. So let's find out what is the direct object in the first sentences. I buy what? What is the answer to this question? We find the direct object when we answer this question. Flowers. So we can see here the direct object, and we have direct object pronouns. So the purpose of those direct object pronouns is to replace the direct object to avoid repetition. So I'm going to replace the direct object that we can find in the rest of my sentences with one direct object pronoun to avoid repetition. Let's see here. I have another direct object and two direct objects. So let's replace this direct object to avoid repetition in my sentences. Which direct object pronoun I should use to replace the flowers? I should use them. So remember, the purpose of this direct object is to replace the direct object to avoid repetition. So I replace this and I use the direct object pronoun. So it will be I take them home, I give them to my wife, and you know the rest of the story. That's the way direct object and direct object pronouns works in English. Let's see how those pronouns works in Spanish. I translate these sentences in Spanish. Yo compro unas flores, llevo las flores a casa, yo doy las flores a mi esposa y you know. Let's identify the direct object in the first part of the sentences. Yo compro ¿qué? Direct object, unas flores. Remember the direct object? I can use direct object pronouns to replace a direct object. In Spanish, I can use all of those direct object pronouns to replace a direct object when a direct object is a person. Or I can use just lo or la or los or las as a direct object pronoun to replace when a direct object is not a person, is an object, is a thing. The meaning for lo or la is it, and the meaning for los or las is them in English. And they have to agree in gender and number with the direct object that I am replacing. In this case, unas flores is plural and feminine. So I have four options to replace. Lo or la, singular masculine, singular feminine. Los, plural masculine, plural feminine. This is my only option. I'm going to replace this direct object with las. So how many times I'm going to replace las flores and las flores. The difference from English to Spanish is, in English, I place the direct object pronoun after the verb. In Spanish, we place the direct object pronoun before the conjugated verb. So I'm going to replace this and I place before the conjugated verb. Because llevo is the conjugated verb. In my second example, I have the verb doy is conjugated, so I have to place here. Yo las doy. So my example will be like yo compro unas flores, las llevo a casa, yo las doy a mi esposa y ella, you know the rest. That's the way direct object and direct object pronouns are placed in Spanish. So direct object pronouns in Spanish can be placed before the conjugated verb, or can be attached at the end of the infinitive form of the verb or present progressive form. Let's review some other examples. Here, direct object pronouns in Spanish. Let's analyze this example. Ernesto va a traer un sándwich de jamón. Ernesto is going to bring a ham sandwich. I have a conjugated verb, va, and I have an infinitive form of the verb traer. So I have two options here. One before the conjugated verb, and the other one I can attach at the end of the infinitive form of the verb. First, let's find what is my direct object in the sentences. Let's ask the question. Ernesto is going to bring what? Un sándwich de jamón. That's my direct object. Un sándwich de jamón is not a person, is an object, is a thing. So I have two options here. I can choose one of those or one of those. Un sándwich de jamón is singular masculine. My only option is this, singular masculine. So I'm going to replace with lo. My first option is before the conjugated verb. Ernesto lo va a traer. I replace my direct object. My second option is to attach at the end of the infinitive form of the verb. Those are the two placements of the direct object pronoun in Spanish. In this example, Carlos lleva a María al parque. Carlos take Mary to the park. Carlos take whom? Direct object, María. In this example, the direct object is María. I can use to replace with la. I can place here la before the conjugated verb. When I replace the direct object, my example is Carlos la lleva al parque. That's the way I replace my direct object pronoun with a direct object in the sentences. When referring to people already mentioned, direct object pronouns. Direct object pronouns are used with verbs such as to see someone, to remember someone, to know someone, to take someone somewhere, to invite someone, and so forth. Here are some examples in English. Raúl Saucedo, I don't remember him. Ernestito and his brother and sister, we saw them. I am José Estrada, you remember me? Here are 4 of those personal direct object pronouns that we are going to review later, and they are the same as the reflexive pronouns. Usted no me conoce todavía, soy Raúl Saucedo. You don't remember me yet, I am Raúl Saucedo. And te quiero mucho, I love you a lot. Those 4 direct object pronouns are used according to the gender and number of the persons referring to. Some Spanish speakers from Spain use le or les instead of lo or los as a direct object pronouns only when referring to masculine form. ¿Conoces a José Estrada? El novio de Pilar. José Estrada is the direct object. We replace with lo. Sí, lo conozco. Mi hija Margarita. Mi hija is direct object, feminine singular. I replace with la. La llevo todos los días a la escuela. Lo can be replaced with him or you. La, her or you when referred to the usted form. Los with them or you when referred to the ustedes formal, and las, them or you for the ustedes feminine only. When we're referring to things already mentioned, use the Spanish object pronouns lo or la, which correspond to the English it. Lo refer to the masculine and la to the feminine words. And in Spanish, los and las correspond to the English them. Los to masculine and las to the feminine words. ¿Quién compró el pastel? Lo compró Raúl. So we replace el pastel, masculine singular, with lo. Lo compró Raúl. ¿Quién trajo la fruta? Feminine singular, feminine singular. La trajo Nora. Luis, ¿preparaste los tacos? Masculine singular. Sí, los preparé esta mañana. Masculine singular. Carmen, ¿dónde pusiste las servilletas? Las servilletas. Femenino plural. Replace with las. Feminine plural. In Spanish, the direct object pronouns lo, la, los, las might substitute for words referring to people or things. Let's review those examples. ¿Llamaste a Mónica? Sí, la llamé ayer. La is replacing Mónica, femenino singular. Luis, ¿encontraste la salsa? As an object, we replace with la. Sí, la encontré en el refrigerador. Like other pronouns, direct object pronouns are usually placed before the verb. La ensalada no la come nunca. Before the conjugated verb. And also we can attach at the end of the infinitive form of the verb. El flan van a prepararlo. Preparar is infinitive form of the verb, so we can attach it at the end of the infinitive form of the verb.